What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Okay, this video is gonna be quite interesting. It's going to be maybe triggering for some people, but hey, we're on the road to self-healing and self-discovery, so we finna do this work, okay? But only do it as much as you guys feel comfortable with. And I'm sure if you guys saw the title, we're gonna talk about our fathers. Yes, we're gonna talk about our fathers. Y'all, I'm a Cancer rising, so you know the family dynamic is very important to me. It's something that I'm just always on my mind, how we treat each other, our family environments, our culture, our mini cultures that we set up in the home. And so in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the father. And why the father? Well, because you guys are so obsessed with the sun sign astrology, and you guys don't even realize that the sun is representative of your father. Yes, baby girl. That thing that you be saying, it's my birthday, this is my sign, I don't like that sign, I like this sign. That's all your daddy, baby. Yes, this is where it comes from. Why? Because this is in traditional essence, okay? And I want you guys to also think about this in energetic form. So the sun is a masculine sign. So more about masculine energy, people who push out more. Masculine signs are fire and air. Feminine signs are water and earth, okay? And feminine means receiving information, and masculine means pushing out information. It has nothing to do with gender. So the sun being whoever took the leading role in your life, the leader, literally, because the sun equals leadership, because it is the lion, the lioness, the king, the queen, okay? The person who helped you perceive the world as it is, because our sun sign is all a perception, y'all. It's literally the goggles in which we see life. And this is the way that we go about it. That's how we identify it. It's also how we identify ourselves and how much we are able to get done in our own lives, y'all. Absolutely. The sun is our consciousness. Okay, it's our spirit, it's our intelligence, and it's, representative of just how your father, the masculine energy, okay, illuminated this world for you and showed you, oh, you should pay attention to this, pay attention to that. The mother is representative of the moon, and we're gonna have another video on that because, hello, okay, the moon, and that's the subconscious. And even if you think about it in stereotypical ways of the, feminine, masculine way that we think about it, right? The woman stays quiet. She's not supposed to say anything. And then the man is supposed to be the leader and the provider of the house, right? The illuminator, the one that makes sure that the kingdom is all good and pristine. Okay, so this is the energies that we're talking about when we're talking about the sun. This is your Leo energy, all right? This is the filter that you put on life. This is what your dad showed you, your father showed you, the masculine main energy showed you predominantly how you should approach the world, okay? This is why this is so vital. And the sun is only one conversation that we're having, because there's plenty of ways to really see your relationship dynamic with the sun, okay? The Saturn as well tells you lessons from your father, okay? And we'll talk about that as well in another video. But the sun shows you just your father's perception of life and what it was carried onto you and what was illuminated for him. That's why a lot of times your mother's like, oh, that was my intuition, because she's following her intuition. It's not something that needs to be said, right? That's her insides. And that's why when we're talking about emotions, energy, emotion, the intuition, okay, listening to the gut, listening what's on the inside, to the energy and the information that I have received, that's what I'm listening to, instead of what I can see, okay? And that's the difference between the sun and the moon. The moon is what you feel, and the sun is what you see, and therefore you intellectualize it, you put your intelligence on it, okay? So this is your sun energy, your sun sign energy. Now, this will describe a lot about your father. Your ninth house explains your dad in general and how you feel about your father, okay? The 10th house are lessons, even more lessons of your father, because that's the top, okay? It's also how we deal with authority. It's also how we think about masculine energy in our lives, y'all. The sun is deep, okay? It's more than just, oh, I'm a sun sign in Taurus. No, You're a sun sign Taurus, you're stubborn because your father was stubborn, okay, honey? That's what we're talking about. The reason why you're a Taurus, all right, and you're so beautiful and all these things is because your dad loves beauty. He loves nature. He loves art. He loves money, okay? And this is where this Taurus energy is coming to you, all right, and expressing itself through you. Of course, this video is not going to necessarily talk about it, but the aspects to your sun are going to obviously tell you the placement of your sun. Which house is it in? The sun loves being in some houses. The sun loves being in the first house. The sun loves being in the 9th house. The sun loves being in the 10th house. And there's some places the sun does not like to be, okay? So there's things like that. And there's certain signs it likes to be in, and there's certain signs it does not like to be in. The sun does not like to be in Libra, okay? The sun does not like to necessarily be in Pisces either, okay? It really just depends on what the aspects are. That's why it can get tricky there. So with that being said, we're going to go a little bit through these signs and talk about like what you might perceive as your father and your relationship with your father, or how you think he is, like how you would describe him. And therefore it definitely shows us the kind of men or masculine energy, that we're attracted to, or that we're not attracted to. Okay. It's very, very clear. This is why people, have mommy, daddy issues, blah, 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 because our parents matter a lot. Like our home environment shapes everything about our perception of the world and what we can even get done in the world, and how we can love and how much money we can make and all those other things. So that's why I love talking about the 4th house so much and the dynamic. So for the sun in Aries, your daddy is a hothead, okay? He seems like he's coming off kind of selfish. He might be in and out, all right? He might be very athletic as well. He might just be quick with it and just talks fast. And he's very driven, and he might be very ambitious, spontaneous, okay? And sometimes, depending on the aspect, he could become abusive. You know what I'm saying with that Aries there? Because Aries is fire, punches to the head, literally, with this kind of energy, okay? And this is why Aries people are known to be aggressive and assertive and leaders and pioneers. But that's also the other thing that you could have seen your father as. Your father could have been the leader in something or a pioneer in something as well. So this is your relationship with how you see him. You see him as a fiery being, okay? And you can't really pinpoint him, but he has, his own identity, and his own identity is most of the times what matters in when you're having a conversation with him, okay? And you probably think he's like childish too, and like he could be throwing some temper tantrums and stuff like that, okay? Have a temper and be temperamental, okay? Because he's a fire sign. You're a sun fire. So this is what you kind of think about your father. Now, if you have a sun Taurus, now, of course, this is stubborn, all right? Like I said, this is money. This is your dad's about that money, about getting it. And your dad could have been a great provider, okay? A great provider for you is somebody who has always made sure that you had everything, but wasn't necessarily emotionally available, but maybe he's a little dry. Maybe he's a little or he's just very chill, calm, cool, like down to earth, low key, like, he's just a guy who only moves when he wants to move, right? So he becomes immovable. And he could just become very, your dad probably doesn't get mad, but then when he gets mad, it's off the fucking chain. You know what I'm saying? Like with the Aries sun dad, he might get mad quick and not hold grudges, but a Taurus sun dad, it's like, you definitely about grudges. And when it comes to money, don't play with his pockets, right? Like this is kind of the thing with your father. And somehow, some way, beauty was always pushed into your realm and your sphere, like beauty as a commodity, all right? Then if you have the sun in Gemini, your dad confused you, okay? He was here, he was there. He could come off very playful, youthful. He could come off a little bit erratic, restless, chatty Cathy, low-key, you know what I'm saying? Knows a lot of people, is very in the neighborhood, like a neighborhood dude type thing, especially if you have a Gemini sun in the 8th house. Oh, your dad might have been on the block, okay? Literally, it might have been on the block, trading, selling stuff on the block, okay? Doing stuff low-key. But he could have been, he's a salesman of some sort. He has a gift of gab. You think of him as intelligent, or you just think of him as maybe he just talks too much. Or you can think of him as a manipulator or a liar, or as, somebody who can't make up their mind and is indecisive about a lot of stuff. that kind of thing with your sun in Gemini. With sun in Cancer, you are very emotionally tied to your dad. It's an emotional relationship. You're going to definitely have to see the aspects to this one, because the sun in Cancer means a lot of different things. But these people are very much like, my father taught me a lot either way. And they feel very attached to their father. You could see your father as moody, as emotional. Sometimes you see your father as weak, you know, with the sun in Cancer. You don't see him necessarily as your traditional male that society is trying to, you know, force on people, stuff like that. You could see him as like soft, all right? Somebody who doesn't necessarily do that. But at the same time, your dad could be very irritable, hypersensitive, but also very protective of his family. And that's one trait that you really learn from your father, is to be super, super protective of your family. And like, no matter what goes down, you're still my fucking family, point blank, period, type of thing. Now, with the sun in Leo, all right, so this is interesting, because this is what I'm starting to realize. I feel like your dads definitely are fun, you know, or have a big, like, not even a big personality, but they fucking take up space. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot of energy. The big lion, big bear, like just that kind of dude, and very dominating, and just a lot of control issues, all right, with the sun here, with the sun in Leo, because the sun loves being in Leo. But this could cause, in my opinion, it can also cause burnout, okay? That, like, absolutely can cause burnout. I've seen that a lot of Leo sun relationships, like, it starts great when you're a child, and then slowly it could start to just get all about control and domination and all that kind of stuff, you know? I also see your dad again as like a kid, like a little bit childish, or you might see him as a hopeless romantic and somebody who, you know, flirts a lot. He could be a gambler. He could be an entertainer, all right, a loudmouth, that kind of thing. Or you might just straight up be like, my dad is a king, point blank, period. That's how he act. He act like a king. I'm his princess, and that's just how it is. And that's how your relationship was. And that's how you think you should be treated by all men. You know what I'm saying? So, but he valued you a lot. He paid a lot of attention to you. As a sun in Leo, you had a lot of attention being put on you. A lot, maybe more than you even needed and even wanted, okay? That's why you guys always feel like you have to be on and performing and doing something, all right, with that sun in Leo, because he made you highly aware of, like, what are you bringing to the table in this lifetime, kind of thing. What is your life about? Like, let's see something. So then the sun in Virgo, Lord, okay? We already know Virgos already, like, we love y'all Virgos. We love you guys so much, but sun in Virgo, it's just your dad could have been very critical, hypercritical of you, nitpicky, like watching what you eat and watching your food and your diet, like being really weird about that, which could have caused you to get some kind of weird eating disorder. He could have been very overly health focused on you, okay? Or he could have just been extremely smart and book driven and just like, okay, you need to go to school, you need to do this, you need to do this, like always having a plan, like always needing to make sure something is done, making sure something on the list is being completed, okay? With the sun in Virgo, you just feel like the tasks are never ending. It almost felt also not like an emotionally reciprocal relationship. It was just like, well, what can you do for me? So, you know, you're my kid, do this for me type of thing. It's almost servant style, you know, especially if you don't have enough emotional stuff in there. So water or, you know, air that you're communicating these things, but it could feel very subservient and like you always have to keep doing something, like you're operating out of constant lack, like constant fixing stuff. But this makes you guys you know, pay attention to a lot of stuff. You guys hyperly pay attention to everything. You make sure that nothing's out of whack, and you guys are great problem solvers, you know what I'm saying? Because your father always found a problem for you to solve. So that's like the Virgo sun kind of situation. Then, okay, Virgo, sun in Libra. Sun in Libra is like, this is really here or there, because the Libra is the scales, you know. You felt like your dad was upholding some kind of image and it was shattered at some point, or it was, you know, you saw a crack in it at some point and it just didn't make sense. Your dad could be really good looking. Definitely with Taurus too, I didn't say that, but your dad could be really handsome, good looking. And just very charming. Like a lot of people want his attention, especially female, feminine attention. A lot of that around him, Venusian attention. You know what I'm saying? He could be very, just maybe overly flirtatious. I don't know. I'm not sure. Also just very social, maybe spent a lot of time networking, spent a lot of time building his relationships, things like that. And it could be hard for you to read your dad sometimes, you know, because you didn't know how to necessarily feel about him. You kind of just mirror his actions. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, let me just do what my dad did. It's easy for Sun and Libras people to do that kind of stuff until they realize it's not for them and it's not real and authentic to who you are. So that Sun and Libra is just, it's a big mirror, okay? It's uncomfortable position sometimes because this has to do with separation and divorce within the relationship as well, because Libra is the scales and it represents the law. And where do we go to get a divorce? You know what I'm saying? So all of these things. Your dad also could have been a lawyer, you know, a justice fighter, somebody who is really just great at helping people and making sure that people are heard and seen. Your dad could have been a counselor, something like that, and just counseled people all the time. So these are some of the things with the Sun in Libra, but he just made you hyper aware that relationships matter, other people matter. You need to pay attention to other people, sometimes to the detriment of yourself, right? And your own self-discovery. So then if you have Sun in Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio, there's always a malnourishment when anything's in Scorpio. There's always a hidden secret. There's a low-key, like, you don't trust your dad. You know what I'm saying? There's a low-key, like, you're hiding something. You're not being all the way transparent. Like, why do I have to find these things out about you as time goes on? You know, why can't you just tell me what's going on? Why can't you let me in? There's a lack of emotional closeness, okay, a lot of times with the Sun in Scorpio. If not that, then your dad is like a powerful guy and you see him as somebody who's very emotionally available, but that's a very evolved Sun in Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? And if it's in a great placement, great degree, which I'm so happy for you. But most of us Sun in Scorpios definitely deal with abandonment issues, emotional abandonment, right? And your father kind of just made everything dark, right? That's why we like the color black so much. He left us in the dark, so we feel like we're in the dark. So then we see everything as dark, you know what I'm saying? And then why don't you see it as dark? So you need to come down here with me into this tunnel, into this abyss, and see it as dark with me, because that's what my father showed me. My father showed me the dark side. A lot of times, you know, these dads are hiding things. They're just hiding who they are, their integrity and their morals are up to question a lot with the Sun in Scorpio. And that's why people like us are always looking for the damn truth, and we don't want to get caught off guard, okay? We've already had things hidden before us. And this could have happened like before, when your mother was literally impregnated with you, because all that energy comes into you, okay? It's like it fills who you are. And so a lot of these things could have happened beforehand in the relationship, and your father could totally be a different person now. But a lot of times cheating happens here, okay? Yeah, definitely stuff like that where there's just a lot of distrust. Then if you have the Sun in Sagittarius, the Sun in Sagittarius, your dad could just be a big personality. He could be a scholar, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, somebody that you gain a lot of knowledge from. He could have been an over-exaggerator, depending if there's like a Neptune aspect, Sun, you know, Pisces stuff. He could have just been a big ass liar, you know what I'm saying? But Sagittarius is always about big energy, over-exaggeration, doing things on the next level. Your father could be a foreigner. He could be from a different country, you know, and you could travel a lot with your dad. Literally, he makes your mind travel. You see him as a philosopher on life. You see that he dropped a lot of gems and wisdom. Even if it was a lesson on what not to do, you still learned something from him. You learned your biggest lessons from him. And, you know, you see him low-key as a guru, or somebody who just, Sun in Sagittarius is usually a great, you know, placement. Like, you guys usually have dads that are just bigger than life, okay? Depending on where it is, again, you know, if it's in the 12th house, then it's just like, okay, so big, I don't even see you, bro. I ain't never seen you a day in my life. You know, that kind of energy too. So, but Sun in Sagittarius is just, you know, there's a lot to live up to. There's a lot to explore. And also there's a distance. You feel a distance with your father, and you feel like he might have commitment issues, okay? And that he could just not be committed to any specific thing in life. And so that's why he's always bouncing around and has so much energy to go here, to go there, all that stuff. Sun in Capricorn, hardworking dad, getting it done, business owner, you know, strict, Could have been really strict, could have, you know, definitely been raised by your grandparents as well with the sun in Capricorn. You know, a lot of times these people just saw their dad going through a hard time, a difficult time. Either so difficult, like, oh, I can't stand you, dad, or so difficult, it's like, damn, my dad's the best. Like, he's done everything in his power to make sure our family's good, that we have everything that we need, the maximum provider, the ultimate provider, you know, or the ultimate restrictor. Okay, the like very chores and, you know, putting you on punishment or literally punishing you depending on how what's aspecting on this. You know, if you have Capricorn in the 8th house and Saturn there and Mars there, it's like your dad could have literally been abusive on you and just made your life literally hard, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every single aspect. So anytime you see Capricorn placements, it's always about, you know, restrictions and dryness. You know, your dad could also just basically have a dry sense of humor too. He can come off dry, he can just come off real kind of plain, normal, traditional guy, and that also could be the Capricorn. Okay, now the sun in Aquarius, your dad is just different. He's other, he is strange. You can't really put your hand on it. You don't really know how to feel about it sometimes. You know, he's just an alien to you, low key. He's like, okay, dad, what are you really on? He makes your mind wander. You know, he really could have also made you feel like you were othered and you were different, that you didn't fit in or you didn't belong, you know, or you could see your dad as the rule breaker, the person like a revolutionary, like this motherfucker, he don't care about nothing. He's going to do whatever he needs to do for the community, blah, blah, blah. My dad was a Black Panther, you know, type of thing with the sun in Aquarius, like out here really fighting for people, fighting for justice. You could see him as a humanitarian, as a philanthropist, as just a collaborator. You see him as somebody who works with a lot of people. He's also very busy, okay, networking a lot. Or he could just be, you know, if now you have Sun Aquarius in the 12th house, he could be a total isolator, like isolating all the way. So that's that experience as well. It's just odd, it's different. And also there's a coolness there and a coldness there. And there's not an emotional, you know, there's not a lot of emotional warmth there sometimes. It's like you feel like more like friends too with this placement with Sun in Aquarius. You guys can actually become friends over time. It could be a lot of arguments early in life because he's trying to, you know, dad you and parent you, but you're like, nah, son, you ain't really like that. You're coming off more like my friend. And then when you guys get older, you guys become more friendly and friends in life. Lastly, Sun in Pisces, very interesting. This could be a lot of different things, but this could be your father, you know, is dealing with addiction, alcoholism, escapism, all those kind of different things. Or he could be very, very spiritual, point blank period. He could have also worked in prisons and jails, and he could have had mental issues. He could also be a musician or a phenomenal dancer. Pisces is always about where the placements are, the house, the sign. Like we have to really dig in with the Pisces sun because it could be everything and it could be nothing. Your dad could be everywhere and nowhere, but you definitely have a spiritual connection. You feel like it was a fated relationship between you two with that Pisces sun. That Pisces is just a really strong relationship. You might dream about your dad a lot and you might see him in your dreams more than anything. Even if he passed away, you might talk to him in your dreams a lot, which is a great thing to do, especially if you guys were really close. And you could just see him as some, like, you know, your savior, low-key, somebody who always saved you and always had your back and always lifted you up and was just loving on you and just thought you were awesome. But he also could have been a person who avoided things, was lying and using escapism all the time and never took responsibility for his actions as well. So that's a little information on the sun and the father. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.